right, guys, thanks for joining us for another episode of Punch Me in the Face. I'm really excited about our guest we got today. I got my buddy Hunter Ballew. That's correct, right? My man.
Yeah, that's it.
And let me tell you why I spend a lot of time. The only reason I started doing a podcast, Hunter, was, I've been in business a long time, been very blessed to make a lot of money. Cool. That's awesome. That doesn't really excite me, but it's been really good to me, and that's awesome. I was in construction for about 12 years in Connecticut, all residential. I didn't build anything commercially. Learned a lot about that. I was in real estate before that, in life insurance now. But what excites me is when people are out there truly taking what they've learned or what they know and trying to help people change their thought process and help them make money. So, like, the reason it's called Punch Me in the Face is I was launching it, and I said I called it Humble and Hungry. And this dude I know was like, that's a stupid name. And I go, why? He goes, it just sounds dumb. Like, okay, humble, got it. You're a humble guy, which I agree with. And hungry, well, who's not hungry? He said, everything you talk about is how in every step of the way you got punched in the face, got knocked down, and got back up, and what kept you moving. And that's what you should be talking about in your podcast and things you do. So I'm like, cool. We got a group coming in here in 2 weeks that are for the day, 20 people. Like, that's what we're talking about. We're helping them with very specific things, public speaking, sales, closing, all that. But Hunter, if you could start, because I started then researching you, and then I was like, damn, I wish I had met this guy before. And then I've actually didn't realize it, but I knew a guy in Connecticut that's been in the business, the roofing business forever, who had told me about you, and I didn't put two, and we were BSing one day about nothing. And I was like, yeah. I'm not in construction anymore. Roofing.com, cool, like awesome. The event, I think he's been to the event. So tell everybody that's listening to a little bit about you and how you got to where you are. And I have some very specific questions, which I know will help people out.
Yeah, man. A little background is born and raised and stayed here in South Carolina. I'm in a little town called Travelers Rest, South Carolina, that's north of Greenville, kind of one of the bigger cities that people know of. I'm right here in the mountains, kind of foothills area. I love it here. Great weather, good people. So I don't plan on going anywhere, but went to high school here, graduated in 2009, barely. Thank God for Miss Looper. She helped me pass my 12th grade English so I could get out of school and go into the Marine Corps. I was in 5th grade when 9/11 happened, and from that time forward, I wanted to be in the Marine Corps. So I went to the Marine Corps. I did that thing for 6 years. I went to the fire department for right at 5 years. I was a firefighter EMT. And I just figured out real quick that the money that I was making from there was not going to satisfy my desire. I had this big audacious goal of being a millionaire by 30, which I thought was a big goal back then. And I just realized real quick, making $700 every 2 weeks at the fire department, it wasn't going to get me there. So I pretty quickly started like kind of dipping my toes into other things, playing around with entrepreneurship, started my first business. It was a moving company. I did that for about a year and a half, got bored, realized it wasn't super scalable. I got into marketing, and then marketing kind of led me out of the fire department. End of 2015 is when I decided to leave. You can see this flag back behind me on the wall. A partner of mine at the fire department was a mentor of mine. I was 24 years old at the time. This is 2015. I was 24. He was 30 years old. He was on his way to work to the fire department one day, and a guy running from the cops crossed over all 4 lanes trying to get away from the cops and hit him head on, and it killed him. And this is the third year. Every year I go and change the flag on his cross. It's like 3 miles from my office right up here. And this is like the third year. The first year I gave it to his wife. Second year I gave it to his mom. Third year I kept it. And that was a huge moment for me, man. I tell people that was a foundational moment in my life. Where I just realized, like, we are not promised tomorrow, and it got to make every day count. And so I committed to writing a book called Make It Count, which I launched last year, about this time last year. And so that was September of 2015, and December of 2015, I was like, all right, I got to do it. I got to chase the dreams. If I'm going to do it, now is the time. So December 22nd was my last day at the fire department in 2015. I walked out of there. My chief questioned me, he asked me, are you sure you know what you're doing? You got good benefits, you got all the things here. And I feel like I made a pretty good decision at this point. But yeah, man, I left the fire department. I started a marketing company. First couple of clients that I had were roofers. And so then I got this bright idea to start a roofing company as a case study. I thought, hey, if I can get this thing to 7 figures, again, at this point in my life, I'm thinking 7 figures is a lot of money. And it is for a lot of people. But I just figured if I could get it to 7 figures in revenue, not knowing anything about roofing, then I could use that as a case study to say, hey, if I didn't know anything about roofing and I made it to $1 million, I can help you add $1 million to your business. And so I did that. Really, it didn't take long, man. Like a year and a half, 2 years in, I found myself liking the roofing business, not roofing specifically. I actually hate roofing. I tell people that all the time. It's just a vehicle for me. There's nothing I like about roofing at all. But getting to work in the community, getting to give back to the community, getting to build a team and give opportunity to a team. Because the cool thing about roofing, man, is like you can bring a guy in that knows nothing about sales. I can give him my system, my blueprint. I call it 6-figure blueprint on how to go out and make 6 figures in the roofing industry, and he can completely change his life. So I found myself loving that, and I just quit all the marketing stuff. And I'm kind of like a squirrel. I think most of us entrepreneurs are. Like, it's rare that once you get into the game and you start having success, you focus on one thing forever. So I started a conference trying to help other people grow theirs. Then I started the Mastermind Revolt, and then I bought into an app. We have about 100,000 users now in the app called RepCard. And then I sold my company, the actual roofing company called Cornerstone Construction. About a year and a half later, I bought it back because they weren't doing so good with it. In the process of selling it, I bought roofing.com and launched a partner program. So just a lot of moving parts, but kind of the way I explain it to simplify it, because when people ask me what I do, I don't want to sound like a tool that's like, oh, I got 28 businesses, because that's honestly not cool to me at all. When I hear people say, oh, I have 5 businesses, I usually think you probably suck at all 5 of them. Usually it's the guys that focus on like one thing. So for me, what we've tried to do is create an ecosystem in the roofing space, to have an event, to have a mastermind, to have an actual roofing business, to have a roll up, to have a partner program, to have an app, and just create an ecosystem where we can continue getting people in all of our products.
Well, first of all, thanks for all that. I appreciate it. That's about as direct as you can get, and I appreciate the information. A big part of what you have to understand when you're listening to people talk is if I can emulate somebody that's doing, people say to me, like, when you talk, you like talking in front of people. Yes, speak in front of thousands and thousands of people. But Hunter, I watched people that were good at it for years. And I was like, I like when he does that. I might not like everything, but I'm like, I like when he does that. I like when he's that emphatic, like when he uses his hands, like when he connects with the audience. I like when he knows when to involve himself in, and I like the way he's not affected by what they're doing. Like, I've learned a lot. So a lot of what you were saying, when you listen to what Hunter says, and I'm talking about Revolt. This is what we should be talking about, because so many people take so much advice from people. I didn't love roofing either, dude. I've done it. I didn't love clearing lots and chipping trees. I've done it. I don't like pouring concrete either. I wasn't going to do it forever, but I've done it. And the first time I went to get a loan from a big bank, the guy pulled me aside and said, I'll do it because you have working man's hands and you're smart enough to run a business, but you have both. So Hunter, here's my question. There's a lot of folks out there. First of all, what you've done, and you've said this, so I appreciate your honesty. Anybody could go take a system, follow direction, and go make money in that industry. It doesn't require any talent. I mean, it requires no innate ability, but people will, as you present something, they tend to do what you do, what you talked about, rather. I'm going to look at 95 other things. Either they're avoiding work, because that's a good way to avoid work. If I can pretend like I'm in 5 things I get to avoid work, or they're just scared to put everything into one thing because, hell, I might fail. In these masterminds, in your program, talk to me about what you're saying, because I was a social worker. I went to the police academy. They fired me. It was 4.5-month program. I was there 4 months and about 5 days. I was young. I was an asshole. I was annoying. I joked around all the time. I drank there. I was smoking weed. I was a train wreck. And they should have fired me. So I deserved to get fired. Then I went and took a job as a social worker. I worked with abused and neglected children for years. I think I took that crazy seriously because of my background growing up. So I was drawn to it. But after 14 years, I walked away. And my boss about begged me not to do it. But my boss's boss said to me, I'm tired of you running a construction company out of my office. You're very talented. I know that's your second job and I love you. But Sean, if you put your mind to it, you'll go be great at anything. How do you help people instill? Because there's a lot of folks like you, they're like you were, they're driving like I was, they're driving to their job, they're bitching about not having enough money to get ahead. They somehow love the benefits thing. You have great benefits. It's like, dude, I can buy the best benefits ever for, how do you help them with that mindset? Because like the last business I built, put all my energy into is life insurance. We have 27,000 agents. And one of the things we work on a lot is you have these people around you that if you go to do something, the guys at the fire department weren't pulling for you to be successful. They can say whatever they want. But if you put them on a polygraph and you hooked them up, they'd have been like, and because if you were successful, they had to look at themselves. How do you help people, Hunter, with that mindset? How do you teach them to be laser focused, to tune out what everybody else says, and to seek out mentorship? How do you talk about those things?
Yeah. To start, man, I love that you said that. And it's funny that we really haven't got to connect much, but we obviously can relate. Just the fact that you know that about the fire department. That's why this guy means so much to me. It's because he was the only one that cared about my success, while everybody else was very open about rooting against me and talking down to me and saying, oh, you need to focus on the fire department. You don't need to do these other side hustles. He was the guy that cared. So when I lost it, man, it hit me so hard. Like I can't explain it. Like I broke down. Like he meant so much to me. But to roll into the actual question is, for all of our guys, a lot of our guys that come to the retreats, we do these retreats for free. We've been doing them for years. I've done over 60 now since 2019. A lot of them come in and they're juggling. They're doing rental houses. They're flipping houses. They're trying to sling something on the side. They got a business. What I try to tell people very simply, and it's not some crazy formula, it's look at the guys that have had success and what do? They focus all their energy on that one thing until it starts cash flowing, until they have a team that can continue to manage it, and then they pivot. Like you got to have enough time, you got to have enough energy, and you got to have enough money to put the stuff into something else. Like don't go buy a rental house when you have 20 grand in your bank account and you're still trying to build your business. Like for you guys, what you do with insurance is a great opportunity if people would put all of their intention into it. Like, and the cool thing about it too, man, is like, if you are a squirrel and you want to do multiple things, I'm pretty familiar with like how you guys operate. Not exactly, but pretty familiar. You can still do that. You can sling insurance and you can build a team. You can do both of those things. If you really love building a team, well, get good at selling insurance so you can sell the belief to those people, because it's going to be pretty hard to sell the dream to these people when you don't even know how to sell insurance. You've never had a big month. You've never had a big commission. So if you can go out there and do the shitty work, the hard work for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it takes, and then start to sell the dream. Someone like Jamie, like his story is crazy. Came up, had some tough losses before getting insurance. And now he's one of the guys. Like he's one of the guys. And he's able to sell that belief because he's killing it himself. So I think that the people that want to get all scattered all over the place and they want to say, I'm this entrepreneur. And Warren Buffett said 100 years ago, you got to have 7 streams of income. Pump the brakes, player. Like, for one, $1 million ain't that much money anymore. It's just not. Like, I'm not trying to be Mr. Negative on here. I'm just giving you a reality check. It's not that much money anymore. 2, that was literally like 50 years ago when he said that about 7 streams. You can make $1 million with 1 stream nowadays. And then once that starts cash flowing, then you open up that next one. But you got to have the time, you got to have the energy, you got to have the money to do it. Like something I've learned a lot. One of the most valuable lessons I've learned in the last 2 years since I sold that company, that first company, is just capacity. We only have so much capacity. Like for years and years and years, I thought I was this badass that could work 24 hours a day and I was untouchable and you can't slow me down. And then life happens. You know, I got married. That was okay. I did it for years while I was married. And then you have a little boy. And that little boy starts to walk and he starts to talk and he starts to want to see daddy and he starts to play sports. And it's like, you know what? I thought that I'd want to continue to work, but I actually prefer to be at his games. I actually prefer to spend more time with him. I actually only have so much capacity. So now, dude, it's like an everyday thing. Yesterday it happened, the day before it happened. People will text me, message me on Facebook, hey, can we hop on a call? And I feel like such a jerk because I don't want people to think that I set myself up on this pedestal. That's not the idea of it all. I just have like this personal law that nope, I won't hop on the phone call unless you're like suicidal or really going through some stuff. Even if I don't know you, yes, I'll hop on a phone call because I don't want that on my conscience the rest of my life. But if it's something with business, nope. The only way you're getting access to me in that way is you can pay for a legacy day where you come to my office or you can come to one of our retreats, which is free. But show me you're committed. Show me you actually want to change and you want to make a difference in your business by showing up and investing into the airfare. Like we take care of the food, we take care of the housing. You just got to show up. If you actually care, you'll show up. Other than that, I'm not getting on phone calls all day long to talk to people. Like I just don't have the mental capacity. And what's crazy is I work less than I've ever worked in my life. But, and you know how it is, like your mind just never shuts off. And capacity is a real thing. And I've learned to protect that over the last couple of years. And there's still some guilt, there's guilt every day of like, I sleep in one morning or I go to bed a little bit earlier or I don't work as much on one day. Like I still have that guilt in my mind, but I have to remember that now that I've spent so much time pouring into myself with mentors, people like you, buying courses, learning from my mistakes, that nowadays, like I could work 1 hour a day and it's more valuable than a month 10 years ago, because the decisions I make now are $1 million decisions. They're not going to get me an extra $100 consulting client. They're $1 million decisions.
Well, first of all, how old's your boy?
He's about to be 5, and I got a little girl we adopted last year that just turned 1. So 2 of them now.
Congratulations. I was reading this a while ago. Every son and father go through 3 phases in their relationship. I actually remember it when I went to college because I was a business major for like 4 months, and then the business teachers weren't in the business of being in business. So I switched to become a social work major only because they were actually working during the day and teaching at night or around their schedule. And I had a guy teach me this in graduate school too, which I was blown away. I went to college to play ball, not to get a degree. My mom was afraid of my mom. I went, took my ASVABs at Connecticut Armory. I said, Mom, I'm joining the Marines. I was 17. She said, you're going to college. I said, well, they'll have a better chance of fixing me. She's like, you're going to college. Nobody in my family has ever gone. You're going to college. And I've been sober 23 years, but it probably
Congrats,
good, right? You couldn't. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. And thanks for your service, by the way. So, when you look at it, I remember it, but remember this with your son.
Yeah.
He will idolize you. Idolizes you right now. He will idolize you. Daddy can do damn no wrong. The second phase is he will demonize you. Daddy can't do no right. Daddy picked the wrong restaurant. Don't matter what happened, you're going to be wrong. And then he'll humanize you. And what I've learned is, like, about games. My son, I coached him in baseball, basketball, and football. And I went through the journey you went. I'm 51 years old. It's a lot older. I went through the journey you went through. I had my daughter at 28. So my son would just said the other day, do you remember that game when I scored? I said, yeah, that was like one of 2 games I didn't make from like 4 to now in college playing ball. Because before that, same deal. I was like, dude, I'm gonna work my ass off. I'm gonna do that. But you realize what's important. And what I've learned is the better you are as a parent, like the idolizing, that's gonna happen, right? You idolize your father even if he's not around. Like, oh man, wasn't really, but you still idolize him for a while. But if he wasn't around and didn't pour into you, you'll demonize him for a long time. And then you'll eventually humanize him, hopefully. But then this guy said some people never get to the humanizing part because there was never really a relate. So they're like, their dad dies and they're like, I should have cut my dad a break. Like, he wasn't a great dad, but I demonized him the entire time. So just whatever that's worth, I'm telling you, I've like lived by that. I start talking to people. And people also go ahead.
No, I was going to say I could literally see. So my parents were were addicts. They left me and my brothers when I was in middle school, and I could just visualize it, like seeing it, the three stages for myself with my dad. And it wasn't until, honestly, probably until my son was born that I finally, I guess, started to humanize my dad and say, you know what, he messed up, but he did the best with what he had. You know, he didn't have a dad around. His dad died when he was real young. He worked hard. He just made some mistakes, and they weren't intentional. You know, at the end of the day, intentions don't matter as much as actions, but it is what it is. Like, you know, he's trying, he's doing better now. He's not using drugs. And yeah, it's just funny to look at the three phases like that quickly, be able to identify it myself.
I'm 51, dude. I called my father maybe 3 years ago to reconnect at 48, you know, until I finally was like, dude, he's a human being. He's not perfect. He'd be the first one to kind of go through a lot of that shit. Same deal with what he grew up with, joined the military young to get the hell out of where he was. And, you know, but also on the flip side, some of the gifts, you see a lot of these high level executives and successful business people, and we were blessed with some dysfunction that made us make decisions in life. And there's also that struggle you'll have with your kids because you're able to provide so much. And you know, I have a pastor Matthew runs Dream Center in East LA. And I said, what's your son doing this summer? He goes, man, it hit me like a few months ago. He's never had his heart broken. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, you know, I live this life. We're not rich, but we're not poor. My wife and I have a good relationship. We don't have violence or substance abuse, and it's healthy emotionally. And I realized that, damn, my son's not been heartbroken. He said, so I have him serving in Skid Row this summer, you know, trying to bring people back with Narcan and watching them die in front of them. And because I needed his heart to break. We had our hearts broken early on, you know, and it helped to develop stuff for us. So first of all, that was an amazing answer, and thank you for that. I think that, and if you listen to Hunter talk, and because, you know, it's funny, somebody sent me a clip of Kevin O'Leary the other day because now he doesn't like crypto. And when crypto came out, I said, hey guys, let me educate you on something. It's not regulated. It will be abused. It will have an awfully volatile ride. And the guys that have the least amount of information will get hurt the most. Kevin O'Leary is not going to get hurt. Tom Brady didn't get hurt. He didn't get hurt. He made a bunch of money promoting it. Like, that's their business. But then Kevin O'Leary comes out and goes, well, I'll never, ever support a currency that's not regulated in the country is domiciled in. Kevin O'Leary knew that when he was supporting it. He just knew he was going to make a bunch of money. And what happens, to your point with the, like, find something that you don't have to love the service. You have to love the result. If you love the result and you're passionate about the result, then pour everything into it. And again, I used to say the same thing. You'll never have a balanced life. And it's bullshit. You can work your ass off and develop something. And Hunter said something real quick, which happens a lot, by the way. You'll sell it, and I've sold multiple businesses. And I've been offered a few of them back because the things I was doing to make them successful, they stopped doing. It's not any deeper than that. Like, what I did worked. What you did with your construction company worked. When whoever they were that bought it, they stopped doing what you did. You go like, well, no, it can only run with Hunter. No, you could have run it like Hunter. Hunter had a blueprint. He knew exactly who was doing what, how he's marketing the company, how he did his job. Whatever you did to make it that company where it sold for 7 figures, whatever you did that. And then they go, we're not going to do it that way. Hunter, when you see, what is the single biggest reason, because you talk to a lot of people, that you see that people fail in their business? I mean, if I said there's one thing, Hunter, man, Hunter, I'm brand new. I'm an entrepreneur. I know there's multiple things, but can you give me one thing that I need to avoid like the plague that you think supersedes the rest? If it's a couple, fine, but what is it that I need to be aware of? What will be my biggest pitfall? I'm a good question.
A tough one.
I ain't good a lot.
Yeah.
You're smart as hell, so you'll be fine.
Yeah, it'd be tough to narrow it down, but I would No. I'd pair these two. I'd say mindset and the people
Yep.
you surround yourself with. Dude, the ride of an entrepreneur is wild. All the little memes you see and pictures you see with the roller coaster, like that's a real thing. Like
100%.
Sean, I don't know you that great, but I know you've been through it. I know for me,
Oh,
I've been through it.
bloodbath,
You
dude.
have
Bloodbath.
all these people that idolize you and see you sell a business for millions and millions of dollars and see you do tens of millions of dollars in revenue and to throw an event with thousands of people and all these things. They sound great, but on the back end, they don't see the L's that we take. The L's get bigger too. Like the wins are big, but the L's are bigger too. Like last year, we threw our event RoofCon, and I had a hurricane hit 2 weeks before the event in Florida, which is not good because a lot of
Yeah.
our attendees are from Florida and roofers are going to work the hurricane. And then we had a hurricane hit during the event, man. I
Wow.
lost $1 million on one event. I lost $1 million. But people don't see that. They see the 3,400 people that showed up. They see Tim Tebow. They see John Maxwell. They see all the flashing lights and 250 vendors and think, oh, man, this is an amazing show. What they don't know on the back end is I'm sitting there like, oh, my. There's actually an awesome picture, dude, that my videographer captured of me watching Tim Tebow. And you can see me, my tongue is in my jaw right here. I'm biting down like, what the happened? Like, how did I not prepare better for this? Why did we do it in Florida? Like, it shouldn't have technically been a hurricane. It was in November, not hurricane season. But
Yeah.
I'm just like thinking through all the things like, how could I have solved this problem? And my little boy is sitting beside me, looking up at me, smiling. You can see him, dude. You can literally see it in his eyes. I'll send you the picture after this, him idolizing me. And dude, when my videographer sent me that, dude, it just hit me so hard. It's like the money doesn't matter, like him getting
No.
to see daddy at work and do that and to see all these people, 3,400 people, even if it wasn't the 5,000 that I wanted, the 3,400 people that were changed and impacted, man, it is so worth it. But I got off topic. I'm sorry. So
No, it's good.
mindset and relationships, man, like surrounding yourself with the right people, because the highs are higher, but the lows are so much lower, man. And you're going to go through cycles of doubt and you're going to question yourself and you're going to belittle your self-worth. And I see it with every entrepreneur. I've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs very intimately at these retreats and events. Everybody goes through it. The dudes that are killing it, that when we go around the circle and we talk about revenue and profit, the biggest guys ended up being the weakest guys when you get by the fireside and you talk about our problems. They have marriage issues. They have problems with their kids because they've neglected them and not showed up to games. They're the ones that have the issues. They've gotten too close to their employees and not had some separation. Having a support group around you that can help you, I cannot put a value on that. It really is invaluable. Just having a group of people around you that you can lean on, that you can reach out to, that you can talk to when you're having those doubts about yourself in business and in life. You just need people around you that can get it. And a lot of times you're not going to get that at home. Like, dude, it sucks because I don't really have friends here. Like, I don't have a ton of friends in Greenville. Like, I have some friends. If somebody watches this, like Jamie, like, I love you, man. But, we're not hanging out all the time. When I'm going through the doubts, like, I'm not necessarily calling them. I don't know them well enough. And then all the high school buddies, like, they're doing their thing. They're at the fire department. They're in the Marine Corps still. Like, they just don't get it. All of my buddies are the guys that I'm in masterminds with that are in Wisconsin and California and all around the world, and I only get to see them 2 or 3 times a year. But I'm still able to pick up that phone and call them and get the support when I need it.
Well, I mean, a couple things. Number one, and you said this earlier about, the time. Your time is valuable, so that I struggled because I love what I do and I just want to share it with everybody. And I had a guy pull me aside one day who's been doing this a lot longer than me in different industries, very successful guy, very wealthy, good for him, awesome human being. And he said, stop disrespecting people. And I was like, in what way? He said, when you meet with people for free and you give away what you have for free, it's not you. Like, you can choose to do that, but you're teaching them that everything's free and it's not. So you're literally setting them up to fail. So now it's like, we're doing this deal now. Well, I want 5 Zooms a week, $10,000. And then I'm making more than 10 grand in 30 days. That's easy. I had a guy who was like, I sold my business. If I hit these numbers, I get an extra $1 million a year. I go, fine. When he gets done, he's like, here's what I've done. It already changed. I'll make an extra $1 million based on these things. Yeah, because I've been through it. But to your point, it's, it took me just in the last business 4 years to make any money. Like I paid myself a salary, which was nothing to write home about. And I put everything back in. And I said to a guy the other day, I said, try doing hundreds of meetings where nobody shows up. Try putting on events. Our first annual convention at the company. Yeah, we had 12,000 last year. Our first annual full pull together, everybody in the entire company, we've been open for 14 months, had 120 people there. That's all we could get, 120 people. And I spent the money on it, lost tons of money. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's what built my character. So I want to wrap up with this. And I want you after that, tell everybody where to find you. You're a really cool dude. You got a good demeanor. You're very smart. You're very intentional, and you're very humble. Mentorship is what got me to where I am. I used to pay John Maxwell $7,500 to come for 2 days. And if do you know John well? Ain't nobody asked for money like John. Meaning he don't ask, he demands. Nobody.
And that's the thing. Like I learned a lot from him because he told me backstage the first time I really got to know him well. He said, man, when you have conviction in your cause, you don't have a problem asking for money.
Oh, I've seen John Maxwell, true story, in a meeting room of maybe 50 people. I've seen that joker raise 600, 700, 800 grand like that, like nothing for his cause. I say that to say I got to experience that and watch that because I paid. When I paid the $7,500, I didn't have $7,500. When they gave a payment plan, which I was probably one of the few that did the payment plan because the rest of them had the money, I took the payment plan. The payment plan, I think, cost me $8,500 instead of $7,500. I still did it because I didn't have the money. The reason I knew I needed mentorship is I didn't have the money. A guy said to me, if you can't afford that number, that means you need help. I want you, Hunter, to help people understand how to ingratiate themselves to people that can mentor them. Yeah, you got to pay, but how do you, because if it's me and you're giving me your money and I'm helping you, if you don't care, I won't do it. Yeah, I don't need the money. I'm not trying to be an idiot, but like, dude, I grew up with nothing. Like I like t-shirts and shorts. I got some cool stuff now. It's cool, but I'm not that deep. Like I don't need it. What's your best advice if these people are all leaving a fire department, a police department, a social work job, or just got out of the military and they want to get better in this business? They want to get better at the business of entrepreneurship. Give them some tips on how they can not only find mentors, but get the mentors to want to work with them, ingratiate themselves to that people where they're like, they want to pour into them. Cause you got that. What advice would you give other people so they could utilize those skills to get better?
Yeah, man, the simple blueprint for me is just what I did. And that's just start by going to conferences. Go to conferences. You can get tickets to conferences for $297, sometimes $497, $1,000. And just that alone, you're going to get around the right people. You can go out to some of the VIP events. Some of the people are going to be there, find out about some of the programs. So there's a lot of guys I would consider A players that do things similar to our retreats where you can go out there and it's not that much money just to get around them, just to be in their presence, just to get around the people that support them. And that's probably one of the more valuable things that people don't realize is getting around people that are on their team. Like John, I'm super close to 5-6 people that are on his team. Like Tricia, one of his right hands that helped write Change Your World, she ended up helping me write my book because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to structure it. I paid a dude $150,000 out of Utah to help me, and he didn't do half of what he said. And so I ended up hiring her. She helped me out. She helped me get the book done. We hit bestseller in Wall Street Journal, like actual bestseller, not in one category. All these cool things helped me get more exposure. But that's just by getting around somebody on his team. But you start to build the value with them and show them your character, show them your value. What are they going to do for you? They're going to vouch for you. They're going to say, hey, John, this Hunter guy out of South Carolina is a player. Like he knows people in the roofing industry. We want to raise money for Equip for the nonprofit. We want to do a country transformation. That was one of the things that they called me for in 2021 was to go to Dominican with them They do these things they call country transformations. They go and
Mm-hmm.
work with all the political leaders, the churches, the universities, the sports teams. And they said, hey, Hunter, you want to come down here and do this with them? So it's me, John, and like 10 other people going around to all of these high-level people in Dominican and helping transform the country. It's just getting in the right circles, and you got to put yourself there, but you got to be willing to invest. It's just like you said, John's not afraid to ask because of the conviction he has in his calls. Another guy, I don't know if you've heard of Kevin Nations,
Yep.
years ago, he told me, he said, man, I got no problem sending somebody into debt. Like if they actually believe in themselves and they'll do the work, I got no problem taking their last dollar and putting them into debt on their credit card because I know that my stuff works. They still got to do the work at the end of the day. So I kind of had that mindset with Cornerstone, building out that blueprint. I would tell people this line. I've said this line thousands of times when I was recruiting people. I'm going to give you all the tools, all the training, all the technology to make six figures, but you have to provide the work ethic. I'll give you all the tools, all the training, all the technology to make six figures, everything you need. But at the end of the day, you got to provide the work ethic. I can't give that to them. If they show up, they give 40 hours a week or more, they can make great money in this industry. I'll give you everything you need to do it. But at the end of the day, you can't decide. You can't decipher if someone's going to have the work ethic or not. So if you're watching this and you're somebody with that work ethic, go all out, sell out to get around the right people, to put yourself around people like Shaw, people in his organization. Figure it out. Like they have a track record of success. Why would you not want to be around that? They didn't just luck up. Sure, we all get lucky in some ways, but it's from consistent action and doing the hard things and not paying ourselves a salary. At my company that I sold for $48 million, I didn't pay myself a salary until I sold it. And when I got it back, I'm still on a salary of $96,000. That's how much money I make from that company. And we do millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. But it's just being willing to eat crap for that payoff one day. If you're willing to rob the business now to enjoy all the fruits now, you're never going to have a huge payoff. You got to be willing to suck it up. It isn't all glorious like you see on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm sure you could speak to that too.
Well, first of all, I love speaking to you. We ain't got a chance to connect. I'm glad we did. I look forward to seeing you at some event. I'd love to come check out your event as well. And, let's definitely get together. And if people on here that haven't met you, don't know, how do they find you? How do they look out for you? How do they connect with you? Where would they go, Hunter?
Yeah, I'm pretty low key, man. I really just kind of use Facebook Messenger. If you want to look me up on Facebook, Hunter Ballew. And then, I've got the therevolt.com.
And we'll put all that in the link to this podcast. And so, guys, we appreciate watching. Hunter, thanks, man. You're doing good work. You got a good heart and you got courage, and the world needs a hell of a lot more of that. So I appreciate you changing people's lives for real, and your passion behind it. That means the world to me. So good for you. I look forward to meeting you, your family, and getting together at some point in time, brother.
Appreciate you having me, man. Take care.
Appreciate you. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, please like, share, comment, get with Hunter. He's a real guy who's been through it, who's been punched in the face, been knocked down, is transparent and vulnerable, but also help provide the strength and the discernment y'all need to build a big business. So appreciate you guys.